Hey guys, Colorado Dave here, and this is Knives in Our Lives, and this is my YouTube channel as well as my Instagram. But anyway, Knives in Our Lives. If you guys would please subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. I just started this channel a little over a month ago and am spending a lot of time on it, and I am trying to build this, and your subscriptions mean everything to me because then I know I'm doing it for a purpose, and makes me want to keep going. So again, if you guys can subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if there's something you don't like, feel free to make some comments and let me know so I can learn, as I am pretty new at all this still. But those of you who have been following me, it's been an exciting couple weeks here. Very emotional for me. Going through some things here in the family, with the family, excuse me, that don't want to get into necessarily right now, but may at some point here in the near future. But in the process has caused us to want to raise a little bit of money for the family. And so I made a decision to sell a big chunk of my collection, and knowing that I'll probably rebuild it at some point. But for now, I just need to do what I need to do for my family. So that is what I'm doing. So anyway, in that breath, about 3 weeks ago, I took my collection from about 40 knives, premium knives we're talking about. I got a couple miscellaneous knives, and I still have a couple fixed blades too. But anyway, as far as premium knives go, I had about 40 knives, and I've brought it down all the way to these 5 knives. So it's been a hell of a process to get here, as I have given up some beautiful, beautiful knives. These aren't my 5 most expensive. They're not my 5 cheapest. They're a combination of a lot of different things, and that's why I kind of wanted to talk with you guys about it here today and let you know how I came up with the decisions I did. Obviously, I was trying to raise money, so I did sell a couple of my nicer knives as well. In that breath, one of the ones that was hard for me to get rid of that I'm going to miss a lot is my Custom Knife Factory. I had a Satori 2.0. I did end up getting rid of that. That was all custom anodized, and it was beautiful knife, beautiful, beautiful knife. But I did give that up. Sold that. I had a whole collection of ZTs that was everything from the new 0308 with the tiger stripe to the 0562 titanium that I just sold today. Didn't think I'd ever get rid of that knife. I will definitely get another one at some point. I got rid of my ZT0450, which was a custom anodized one as well. I got rid of my RJ Martin, which was the 0609. I got rid of my Sinkovich, which was the 0456. Got rid of my other Hinderer, which is the 0393. So got rid of some great, great knives, guys. Some really, really, really nice ZTs. So my ZT collection is gone for the moment, but I will rebuild that, as I do love ZT. What I've done is I've made a decision to just really fine tune, and you can see by the 5 knives in front of me that I've got some really beautiful knives here that are just great examples of EDC knives, as well as just heavier use EDC knives. I wouldn't say heavier use EDC. I would say EDC knives in general is basically what you got in front of you. Some being larger, some being a little bit smaller, based on the area you live, based on your type of work and what you need your knife for. So I cover a couple different ones in my collection. But again, I have no qualms whatsoever with these knives in front of me. If these are the last knives that I ever get to touch, I feel blessed, because these are some beautiful, beautiful knives. I don't need to get into all the Spydercos. There was many, many Spydercos that I had let go of as well. I do still have actually 3 knives that I'm not showing here, but I'm not putting them in my top 5 because I do plan on still selling them. One of them being the Medford Smooth Criminal, and the other one being the Spyderco E Cucci, and then the last one being the Spyderco Drunken. Those are 3 knives I still do plan on selling at this point, but I still own. I've got some people looking at them as we speak. The other knife that I do have some bids on and people are interested in is this one. So there's a slight chance that'll go away, and I'll keep a different one. But these are the 5 that I want to try to keep. That's what I'm shooting for at this point, is to keep these 5. So let's get into them a little bit. This is my Sebenza 31 large. This is a double lug, natural linen, or not linen, natural canvas micarta scales. Just, I can't say enough about it. Just a beautiful knife. Anybody who's touched one, felt one, had one in hand understands that The Sebenza is a very special knife, and this is the Sebenza 31 with the new ceramic ball interface system that they put into the Sebenza here recently. So love that knife. It was my first introduction to Chris Reeve knives. I got mine in January. This is a knife that I could see myself having the rest of my life because it's that kind of knife. Definitely a working knife. Let's go into the Spyderco, my Spyderco. This was a tough one because I have a Spyderco Spidey Chef as well, and it was hard for me to get rid of that knife because I loved my Spidey Chef, and it was probably my second most used knife last year, and probably my second most used knife this year, maybe third most used knife this year. So it was a knife I used a lot. It did have a lot of wear on it, which didn't matter to me. But I got the Kapara this past October for my birthday. I got it as a birthday gift from my wife and one of my sons, and thank you, Pierce. Thank you, Ann, for that. But anyway, love it, love it. Just turned out to really, really like this knife. I like my culinary pocket knives, which I know they don't really make sense in a kitchen, but I still have fun with them because I am a culinary guy. And this knife is great for slicing up stuff in the kitchen, for, you know, whatever, cutting an apple, you know, tornilling a potato, whatever. I mean, you can do a lot of different things with this. You know, just cutting up some celery sticks and stuff, whatever. It's just, it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable knife. Love it. This is the CQI version, which means constant quality improvement from Spyderco. So it has really drop shutty action. I don't know if I did it justice on camera, but it does have very drop shutty action. The action's beautiful on it. I'm not a huge carbon fiber guy, but I love the carbon fiber handles on this. It's a beautiful knife. It's a really, really pretty knife. This one here, I had been pondering back and forth and back and forth. Is this going to be a keeper? Is this going to be a user? Is this going to be one that I want to sell or keep more like a collector's knife because it is an exclusive from Blade HQ? I want to use this knife, guys. I really do want to use this knife. I haven't yet, outside of putting I do have my edge on it. That's the only thing I've done, and that's because this is the very first 940 I've ever owned. It's the very first 940 I ever touched or put my hands on, believe it or not. I just always stayed away from the 940 Osborne. It wasn't, whatever reason, I didn't like the green and the purple. It just didn't do anything for me. So I never really pursued the knife, ever. And I know I probably should have, because obviously it's a fantastic knife. But I got this one back in December, I want to say, when they had this run of them through Blade HQ. And I was just, when I first got it, it was, you know, it was a little stiff, and, you know, it was kind of a little light, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of it was just a different feeling knife for me because I hadn't had one in hand. After I played with it for even 10 minutes, I was just like, wow, I get it. This is a special knife. There's a reason that this knife's been around for 20 years, and that it has the following that it has. And man, I can't tell you enough that it's fun. It's very fidgety. You can roll it out slow. You can Spidey flick it. You can pretty much do anything with this knife as far as fidget factor. It's phenomenal. But what I fell in love with was the jade handles and the black blade. And I love the M4 steel that Benchmade does. And I didn't have a Benchmade in my top 5, and I kind of wanted to have one just because I do like Benchmade. I don't have a lot of Benchmades, but I did want to have one in my top 5. My other one that I've had for a long time that I just sold too recently, which was hard to get rid of, was my Super Freak. Another great knife with M4 steel from Benchmade. But that's how I know I like Benchmade's M4, the way they heat treat it, whatever they do to it, it performs very, very, very well. So anyway, in that breath, that's my number. These aren't in any kind of numeric order. I shouldn't say that's my number 3. It's in no special order. Looking at the next knife down, though, would be this knife I think a lot of you are familiar with, which is the Para 3, which is just a dynamite knife. By the way, guys, yes, I have a Band-Aid on my finger. It was not from a knife. It was not from a knife. It was from a project I was doing in the garage. But anyway, I did need to mention that. I got the tip of my thumb, so that's why I'm trying to be careful with it. This is my Para 3, and this is the one in Maximate steel. Absolutely have loved this knife since the day I got it. I've had it now for about 1.5 years, I want to say. Last year, this was probably my, maybe almost 2 years now. Last year, this was my heaviest carried knife, hands down. I carried this a ton last year. I have gotten some other really cool knives that you can see here on the table, so I haven't gotten to carry it as much this year, but I would still say it's probably in the top 5 as far as knives that I've carried and that I enjoy and that I want to have as part of my collection. Carrying this knife, it's always performed great for me. It's always felt like it's enough knife and pocket to do whatever chore comes to me during the day. Awesome everyday carry in my opinion. The last one's the newest one to my collection, and this is because I fell so in love with this knife right here, the Sebenza 31 Large. I really decided I wanted to try a small. Reason being is if I go into the downtown Denver market or if I go into the suburbs of Chicago, anywhere in Illinois outside of Chicago, you're basically looking at 3-inch knife laws. And so this meets that standard. And so that's why I'm like, I want to get a small one too. So I went ahead and ordered one. And with the inlays, it's not a cheap knife. It first came in the box. I opened it up and I was kind of like, wow, I knew it was going to be smaller, but it felt so much lighter and smaller, and I just didn't feel that same bang for the buck, and I'm like, man, I just don't know if this is as much knife, for how much I'm spending, But you know what? After I played with it for like less than 5 minutes, I realized it has the exact same feel as this knife, which is awesome. It's just so nice. Guys, Sebenza's changed my life. As far as my knife life, I should say. It's changed my knife life. I really like the feel of it. I like the quality in hand. It just has this quality feel in hand. This glassy / hydraulic, motion that you get from the way you open it. It's just different. It's different than any other knife I put in my hand. I was worried about it being a boring knife when I got it because so many people had told me, yeah, they're just not as fun. They're not fidgety. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I'm just like, man, I couldn't disagree more. I find it to be extremely fun and entertaining to play with this knife, sitting in front of the TV, sitting at my desk, when I should be doing something more productive. But anyway, those are my top 5, guys. And I'm really happy with it. The one knife that changed out from what you saw last time around was I do have the Benchmade in there, and I did end up getting rid of the ZT. I had an opportunity to sell it to somebody, a very good guy, thank you, Dave, who bought a big part of my ZT collection, and he bought it with the understanding of that if things go well for me and I decide I want to buy them back, he's going to sell them all back to me. Tell me that's not the coolest move in the world, man. I just think that's awesome. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for that. But anyway, he's just a new friend that I've made online, and he started a channel, and I'm going to start following him as well. And I'm going to watch my knives because he's got a few of my knives now. He's got a few of my ZTs. And I love to see somebody else have the same joy for the knives that I have. And he definitely has a true love for the knives. So it was nice meeting him through this whole experience. But again, thanks, Dave. I appreciate that and all your help. And there's a lot of you guys out there. DJ, you did a great job. You bought quite a few from me as well, and just a great person. Thank you. There's been a few of you guys that have really been supportive of what I'm doing, and have done a great job with cleaning these knives up quick for me. But I still got 3 left, guys. Keep that in mind. If you do have any interest, feel free to leave a note at the bottom. I didn't do this to sell the knives, but I do want to tell you that I do still have them, and that is the Medford Smooth Criminal. I have the Ikuchi Spyderco, and I have the Spyderco Drunken. So if you have interest in any one of those 3, they're all in phenomenal shape. The Drunken's in the best shape. That one's basically mint. I would say then the Ikuchi's in mint shape, and I would say the Medford has a little bit of wear on it, but we're talking very minimal. There's no scratches or anything like that in it. Just the fact that I did the edge on it. That's it. But anyway, that's what I got going on here. Hopefully you guys had some fun with this. Understand why I kept the knives I kept. I wanted a few quality knives. I wanted a couple knives that I knew could stay with me forever, and that's why I have the Sebenzas in here. The Spydercos, the Benchmades, they could get changed up at some point. Things could change, and something could happen in my life. I could break a blade, something, whatever. Something could happen, and I decide that I want to switch one out for a while. Or I'm going to be, have the luxury to start building my collection again. But these are knives that I felt like I was going to have a hard time functioning not having in my collection. So to me, it puts a lot of praise on all 5 of these knives because I am very particular, and I do care about my knives and my collection very much. And so for any knife to make this list, to me, I think it's a big to-do, because I think they're all very, very worthy knives. And if you haven't tried any of these, I highly recommend you do. And if you have any questions on any of these, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to try to help you. Anyway, having a hard time talking here, so I'm going to go ahead and get off. But thanks for listening to me ramble tonight, guys. And that is my final 5.